Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's been so long. If you're new here, if this is your first video, my name is Fabiola Lara. I'm an illustrator, I'm a designer, I'm making YouTube videos. I also have some news for you. So I actually launched a podcast, hence why I suddenly have this mic. I launched the podcast actually back on October 5th, a day I'll never forget because I was working towards it for so long. And so that's kind of why I dropped off for a bit with YouTube, is just because I was really focused on making the podcast as amazing as I could make it. And so this is a little catch-up video to bring you up to speed with what's been going on. So essentially, like back in March, I would say, of 2021, I got this idea in my head to make a podcast that was just focused on highlighting and showcasing like Latinx visual artists and designers. I say visual artists because I just don't think I would usually have like a musical guest or something. I don't see that, but never say never. It could happen. And I just really wanted to kind of make that podcast, but you know, that's like a whole other thing. Podcasting is literally a whole other like career. So back in March, I was just like, cute idea, Fab, very cute idea, but why don't you just focus on what you're trying to do instead? So I kind of like put that idea on the back burner, and then the idea wouldn't leave me alone. It literally, like, I would go to sleep thinking about it, and I was like, man, maybe I should actually make this. Maybe I should actually do this. But I didn't know anything. I still know very little, but even then I didn't know anything about what it took to make a podcast. So it was just like, I don't know what to do with this idea. What I ended up doing was, as a part of the Adobe Creator Camp, which I think is widely available, and you can go ahead and participate in Creator Camp if you want. I actually applied for the Adobe Creative Residency in April, May. I can't remember right now the exact days, but I applied, and I applied with the podcast idea, which was the show that I now have, which is called Draws in Spanish, which is a podcast, like I said, all about highlighting Latinx visual artists and designers. And I pitched this concept as a video podcast to Adobe, but I didn't make the cut for the creative residency, which is fine, but the idea kept haunting me. And so instead of waiting for permission from a brand or for sponsorship from a brand, which would always be nice and I welcome, I decided to just go for it. For my birthday, I decided to hire Lauren Popish. She's a podcast consultant. She has her own podcasting agency, and I brought her on, and she helped me bring all of Draws in Spanish to life, from the little baby idea that I had to the actual full-fleshed podcast. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. You can just search for Draws in Spanish. It'll come up. And yeah, I did it. I launched the podcast. We are 4 episodes in. I'm currently working on the next episode. The cool thing is that I actually hired Lauren's agency, The Way of Podcasting, to edit my podcast. So I try and batch interviews and get interviews in kind of all at once, like 2, 3, 4 at a time. That way I can focus on show notes, transcription, uploading, newsletter, all of that kind of stuff in between with every episode. And then I hand off the actual interview to The Way of Podcasting. Swell, I think, is called the service, and they assigned an editor to me who then goes and edits the podcast episodes. So I don't actually have to deal with the nuance of audio editing, which is such a huge relief. It's not that I wouldn't like to do it, it's just like I can't do it all and still also illustrate and have a YouTube channel and do everything else that I really want to do. So that's just like one thing that I was like, instead of trying to learn that, I'm just going to hand it off. And it's really awesome because with every episode, I just like get a link and I leave all my comments. I still do a lot of I have a lot of input, obviously. It's my podcast. But then they actually edit it and give me all the little clips, and it's awesome. So I've had such an amazing time kind of producing this podcast and bringing it to life. I obviously couldn't have done it without Lauren, but now it's like my baby and I love it, and it's a lot of work. Honestly, podcasting is a ton of work because every episode kind of demands so much, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it because the whole reason that I decided to do this podcast was to connect with other Latin American artists that have like roots in Latin America and live in the US. For this season, I think I'm going to focus on just US based Latin American artists because I think that's like a very specific experience. And I think like being in the US as someone who is Latin American is like totally different than just being like a Latin American person in Latin America. And not that I don't want to highlight Latin American based artists, it's just that this season I want to focus on US based artists and tell those stories. And it's just been amazing because I've gotten to connect with like some of my favorite artists. I interviewed Fran, I know you know her. And I also talked to Caddy Huertas. She's incredible illustrator. She works a lot on editorial. And I also talked to Ruby Marquez. He's an incredible collage artist. And the last episode that I published was with Natalie Karamoto, who makes incredibly cute illustrations and like merch. So it's just been really cool to connect with all these people, have like such fun conversations about it's like genuine conversations that I want to have with people, but then get to share them with everyone. It just feels really special to me. And the reason I made the whole podcast was because I thought that this was missing from the world. Like when I would go to my podcast app, I felt like creative podcasts usually had like the same people like going on different podcasts, which is great because those people usually are amazing artists that I want to hear from. But I just didn't feel like I was hearing stories that really related to me and to my experience in the world as an artist. So that's why I wanted to make this podcast. I was just like, I remember Lauren asked me like, why do you want to do this? And I was like, I just want to connect all of these people together. I want new faces on podcasts. I want to hear new stories that I haven't heard. Like a lot of these people, like some of them have been interviewed a lot, but some hadn't. And I just didn't hear enough from them. And this was like such a fun way for me to personally connect with them, but then for also to like just collect all of these people. I almost want the podcast to be like a directory, right? Like if you go onto my podcast and you see the episodes, you're just like guaranteed these artists are awesome, have great work, have interesting stories, and they're all Latin American. I want to show like how diverse Latin America is because I think in the US, again, like this is coming from a US perspective. Like anyone who is Latinx, Latine, however you want to say it, like people have misconceptions about what that means, or they just think it's like one race or one culture or one ethnicity, like they group it all together. And with this podcast, with every episode, I want each artist to get to talk about their culture, their country, like things that are unique to their country and their ethnicity, so I can like enlighten people a little bit. We with every episode can enlighten people a little bit if they're not familiar, because yes, it's like about Latinx artists, but I hope that people that are not Latinx will eventually listen and they'll learn a little bit and learn about the artists beyond just the artwork, like kind of like a more cohesive view of their life, I don't know. I have a lot of hope for the podcast, but it's been a lot of work, but really rewarding work, even though it's like really small still. I still really love it, and I like don't have any intention of stopping it. Yeah, it's a little awkward to record with this whole setup, but now that I know how good audio can sound, like I can't go back. I almost can't go back to like worse audio. So I might have to invest in a really good mic for my camera, so I don't have to be like connected to my computer like I am, because I'm recording in QuickTime so I can sync it later. Long story, but not long story, just like what a complicated setup. I'm just so excited to share this with you. I hope that you guys are interested in this podcast. If you are, literally it's on any and all podcast directories. So wherever you like to listen to podcasts, it's available. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead, check it out. I'll leave all the links in the description below because I want you to check it out. If it's something that you're even vaguely interested in, go ahead and listen to the trailer if you don't want to listen to a full episode yet for whatever reason. Yeah, and then I also have a question, which is like, do you think my friend Grace, not Michelli, another Grace, mentioned to me that maybe I should upload the audio of the podcast interviews to YouTube? And I hadn't thought about it because I don't listen to podcasts on YouTube, but I know people put on videos and just like to work to them. So do you think I should upload the podcast to YouTube? Would you listen to it if I uploaded it to my channel? I don't know. Comment below. Let me know what you think is like where you would actually listen if you're going to listen. This is me assuming you want to listen to my podcast, which who's to say? But I hope that if you're interested in hearing from these artists and hearing conversations about their identity and their art, not just and how intertwined they are as opposed to being two separate things, I hope you'll go ahead and check it out. I've been working on it. I've been working on this podcast since June, and it launched in October. So that's a while of working on it behind the scenes. And now I work on it every week. There's something to do with the podcast because I'm making all of the podcast art and I'm working on, social media stuff for it. I have quotes that I'm, all of the behind the scenes that goes into podcasting and then promoting your podcast so people actually hear about it. I know people hate the term marketing, but I don't mind. I went to school for advertising, so for me, marketing and advertising are kind of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's kind of fun. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. I hope that you'll check it out. Let me know if you have questions. I just felt like this podcast was missing, and that's why I made it, which is crazy because 6 months ago, I had no idea about podcasting. Now here I am, little podcast baby. So I just wanted to catch you up on why I dropped off YouTube. I'm hoping now to get back into making vlogs and making little videos. It might be a bit of a slow start. So the way the podcast works is I have an episode dropping every other Tuesday. And I was thinking in between, right? In between episodes, I'll drop a YouTube video, about what's going on in the studio, in my illustration career, that kind of stuff, and bring you kind of behind the scenes. So yeah, stay tuned. On the weeks that I don't post to YouTube, I'll be posting a podcast. So you have something every week coming from me, so you can, never be bored, never be alone. Always have something to listen to while you work. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. I feel so excited to be making this video. I've had it on my to-do list to make this video for a while, and I just felt like I never looked camera ready. And today I finally felt camera ready. So here we are. Yeah, that's all. That was my update. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, thanks so much again. And yeah, check out the show in the links below, and I hope you like it. Feel free to comment if you listened, or Instagram, DM me or whatever, because with podcasts, you can't just leave a comment on a podcast. So I love to hear from you guys when you listen. So yeah, thanks so much. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Ciao.